The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive structure built by 12 different species over 300 years. Inside, representatives from across the galaxy gathered for what they believed would be a routine meeting. They had no idea that today would change everything they thought they knew about the small blue planet called Earth. Ambassador Gina sat quietly in the human delegation section. She was young for a diplomat, only 32 years old, with dark hair pulled back in a simple style. Next to her sat Commander Taeyang, a military officer who wore the plain gray uniform of Earth's defense forces. They looked unremarkable compared to the other delegates. The Krell representative stood nearly 3 meters tall with thick armor plating. The Vex ambassador glowed with inner light. The Torgut delegation filled an entire section with their massive bulk. For 2 centuries, humanity had been part of the galactic community. Earth had joined as a minor member, grateful for the protection and technology the older civilizations offered. Humans served in support roles, provided raw materials, and stayed quiet during important discussions. The other species saw them as useful but weak, a young race that needed guidance and protection. Counselor Vren of the Krell Empire stood to address the assembly. His voice boomed through the translation devices everyone wore. We face a crisis unlike any before. The Havoc swarm approaches from the outer rim. They have already consumed 17 worlds. Our combined fleets cannot stop them. A wave of fear rippled through the chamber. The Havoc swarm appeared every 1,000 years, a force of destruction that swept through the galaxy. Ancient records spoke of civilizations that had fallen to their endless hunger. The swarm consisted of billions of bioengineered creatures that traveled between stars, consuming everything in their path. We must pool all our resources, Vren continued. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. The swarm will reach the core systems in 6 months. Ambassador Gina raised her hand. The gesture was so small that several delegates missed it at first. When the counselor recognized her, many aliens shifted with barely concealed annoyance. Humans rarely spoke during important sessions. Earth wishes to contribute to the defense, Gina said. Her voice was calm and steady through the translators. Vren's facial plates shifted in what humans had learned was amusement. We appreciate the gesture, Ambassador. However, Earth's 12 patrol ships would be better used evacuating civilians. Leave the fighting to species with proper military capabilities. Whispers of agreement filled the chamber. The Vex ambassador's light pulsed with what might have been sympathy. The Torgut delegation made rumbling sounds of dismissal. Gina remained standing. Counselor, Earth has more than 12 patrol ships. Yes, Vren said with clear impatience. Your trading vessels and mining craft. We have reviewed Earth's registered fleet. Small ships suitable for commerce and exploration, nothing more. Please be seated. Taeyang leaned close to Gina and whispered something. She nodded and touched a control on her datapad. The main display in the center of the chamber flickered to life. This is our registered fleet, Gina said. The fleet we declared when we joined the galactic community 200 years ago. The display showed diagrams of Earth's known ships. Modest vessels, lightly armed, designed for peaceful purposes. The other delegates nodded, ready to move on to more important matters. However, Gina continued, and something in her tone made the chamber grow quiet. That is not our entire military. Taeyang pressed another control. The display changed. New ship designs appeared, hundreds of them, then thousands. Massive vessels bristling with weapons. Carriers that dwarfed anything in the known galaxy. Destroyers, cruisers, dreadnoughts. The numbers kept climbing. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in a dozen languages. Vren's armor plates flared with color, a sign of extreme agitation among his kind. This is a deception, the Krell counselor roared. We have surveillance across all human systems. We would have detected construction on this scale. You have surveillance of our outer systems, Gina replied. The systems we allowed you to monitor. Earth has 17 systems you have never seen. We built our real fleet in locations we kept hidden. On the display, more information appeared. Weapon specifications that surpassed galactic standards. Shield technology nobody had encountered before. Faster-than-light drives that made current models look primitive. Power cores that generated energy in ways the Council's scientists had declared impossible. A delegate from the Suroth Confederacy spoke up, her voice shaking. Why? Why hide this from us? We are allies. We welcomed humanity. Gina's expression softened slightly. You welcomed us as junior members. As children who needed protection. We saw how the galaxy worked. The strong dominate the weak. Species that show military power become targets or are forced into conflicts not of their choosing. So we appeared weak. We let you believe we needed you. But, we did need the galaxy, Taeyong added, speaking for the first time. We needed time. Time to learn, to grow, to build. You gave us that gift, even if you did not know it. We studied your technologies and improved them. We learned from your mistakes. We prepared for threats you had forgotten or never imagined. The display shifted again, showing star maps. Red markers indicated Havoc swarm positions. Blue markers showed where human fleets were already moving into position. The delegates stared in stunned silence. Earth's forces were massive, far larger than any single species in the Council. Perhaps larger than several species combined. 243 years ago, a human ship encountered the edge of the Havoc swarm, Gina explained. A small scout vessel on an exploration mission. The crew barely escaped. They brought back samples and data. From that day, humanity knew this threat existed. We have been preparing ever since. You knew, Vren said slowly. You knew the swarm would return, and you said nothing. We tried to warn the Council 70 years ago, Gina replied. We presented evidence and projections. We were dismissed as fearful newcomers seeing threats in shadows. The Council voted to classify our report as speculative fiction. Several delegates looked uncomfortable. The vote was a matter of record, though most had forgotten about it. So we prepared alone, Taeyong said. We built weapons designed specifically to fight the swarm. We ran simulations and trained our forces. We made ourselves ready. Gina touched her controls one final time. The display showed a new image, a human fleet assembling near Earth's outer colonies. Thousands of ships in perfect formation, their hulls bearing the blue and white insignia of United Earth Defense Command. The question now, Gina said quietly, is whether you will accept our help. Whether you can set aside your pride and work with the species you thought was weak. We are offering our full military capability to defend the galaxy. Not because we seek glory or power, but because this is our home too. All of our homes. The chamber fell silent. Every delegate stared at the display, at the might humanity had hidden for 2 centuries. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted, and nobody knew what would happen next. Vren looked at Gina for a long moment. Then, slowly, the massive Krell warrior placed his clawed hand over his chest in a gesture of respect rarely given to other species. Earth's assistance is accepted, he said. With gratitude and humility. Around the chamber, other delegates began making similar gestures. Some looked frightened. Others appeared angry. But, all of them recognized the truth in Gina's words. The galaxy needed humanity now, whether they liked it or not. Gina bowed slightly and returned to her seat. Taeyong allowed himself the smallest of smiles. The hard part was just beginning. The joint war room hummed with activity as species from across the galaxy worked together for the first time in living memory. Admiral Hyun stood before the massive tactical display, his weathered face showing the strain of 3 days without sleep. Around him, military commanders from a dozen civilizations argued about strategy, their voices creating a chaos of sound despite the translators working overtime. "The swarm will hit the outer territories first," General Vok of the Torgoth rumbled. His species had fought wars for 10,000 years and considered themselves the galaxy's premier warriors. "We should fortify there, make them bleed for every system." Commander Sarah of the Vex shook her glowing head. "Fortification is death. The swarm does not tire, does not retreat. They will simply surround and consume any static defense. We must remain mobile." "You suggest we abandon entire worlds?" Vok's voice rose with anger. "Run like cowards while citizens die." Hyun watched the argument continue, saying nothing yet. He had been in command of Earth's hidden fleets for 30 years. In that time, he had studied every major conflict in galactic history, analyzed every battle the swarm had fought in the past. He knew what would happen if they followed either of these plans. Captain Daeho entered the war room and made his way to Hyun's side. The younger officer carried a datapad filled with the latest intelligence reports. "Sir, the scout drones have returned from the outer rim. The swarm is larger than we estimated. Twice as large." "Show me," Hyun said quietly. Daeho transferred the data to the main display. The arguing commanders fell silent as new projections appeared. The red mass representing the Havoc swarm stretched across multiple sectors. Billions upon billions of creatures, all moving with terrible purpose toward the heart of civilized space. "By the ancestors," Vren whispered. The Krell counselor had insisted on joining the military planning sessions. "There are so many. This is impossible," Vok stated. "No force can stand against such numbers. We should begin evacuation protocols immediately." Hyun finally spoke. "No evacuations. We fight." Every alien in the room turned to stare at him. Sarah's light pulsed with confusion. "Admiral, I respect human courage, but this is not a matter of bravery. The mathematics are clear. Even with your hidden fleet, we are outnumbered 1,000 to 1. The swarm does not think like you do," Hyun replied. He manipulated the display, zooming in on the swarm's formation. "Look at their movement patterns. They travel in clusters, each cluster containing roughly 10 million units. The clusters maintain specific distances from each other." "Yes, we know this," Vok said impatiently. "It is how they have always moved. It is also their weakness," Hyun continued. "Each cluster operates semi-independently. They communicate through biological signals, but there is a delay. If we can disrupt those signals, the clusters become confused. They lose coordination." Vren leaned forward, his interest clearly piqued. "How do you know this?" "Because we tested it," Captain Daeho answered. 70 years ago, when the Council dismissed our warning, we sent covert expeditions to the Outer Rim. We found dormant swarm seeds left over from their last invasion. We awakened them in controlled environments. We experimented on them." The alien commanders exchanged glances. The idea of deliberately awakening swarm creatures was considered insane by galactic standards. "We lost 3 research stations learning how they work," Hyun said. "Good people died to bring us this knowledge. But we learned. The swarm is dangerous, but it is not invincible. It has patterns. Rules. And rules can be exploited." He expanded the display to show a detailed battle plan. Human fleet formations appeared in blue, moving in ways that seemed strange to the alien commanders. Instead of forming defensive lines or mobile strike groups, the human ship spread out in a wide net. "We will not fight them head-on," Hyun explained. "We will split their clusters apart. Human ships will deploy signal jammers designed specifically to disrupt swarm communication. Once a cluster is isolated, it becomes predictable. Easier to destroy. And, if your jammers do not work? Sarah asked. Then, we have backup plans, Deho said, bringing up new displays. And, backup plans for the backup plans. Humanity learned long ago that wars are not won by courage alone. They are won by preparation, adaptation, and the willingness to do what is necessary. Over the next hours, Hyun laid out the complete strategy. The alien commanders listened with growing amazement. Earth had planned for scenarios they had never considered. Human tactical doctrine assumed nothing and prepared for everything. Lieutenant Mina arrived with another update. She was one of Earth's top intelligence analysts, her mind capable of processing battlefield data faster than most computers. Admiral, we have confirmation. The swarm's vanguard will reach the Kaulos system in 48 hours. Kaulos? Vren stood abruptly. That is a Krell colony. 2 billion citizens. We know, Hyun said. That is where we make our stand. That is where we show the galaxy what humanity has prepared. You would risk everything on the first engagement? Vok challenged. Hyun met the Torgith general's eyes. We risk everything if we appear weak. The swarm is not our only concern, General. The galaxy is watching. They need to see that Earth's military is real, that our technology works, that we know how to fight. We win decisively at Kaulos, or we lose the confidence of every species in this room. The truth of his words settled over the assembled commanders. This first battle would determine more than the fate of one system. It would determine whether the galactic community could truly unite against the threat. What do you need from us? Vren asked. Your fleets will form the second wave, Hyun replied. Maintain position at the edge of the system. When we engage the swarm, some creatures will break through our lines. That is expected. Your role is to catch those stragglers and protect the evacuation ships. You are giving us the safest position, Sarah observed. Why? Hyun smiled slightly. Because if our plan fails, you will be the last line of defense. And, because I want witnesses. I want every species to see what happens when humanity unleashes its true military power. The meeting continued through the night. Details were refined, responsibilities assigned, contingencies prepared. Slowly, the alien commanders began to work with their human counterparts instead of against them. They started to see the genius in Earth's planning, the depth of preparation that had gone into every system and strategy. As dawn broke on the station's simulated day cycle, Deho found Hyun standing alone in an observation deck, staring at the stars. You should rest, sir, the captain said. Soon, Hyun replied. Are the crews ready? As ready as they can be. Some are nervous. This will be the first time our ships fight in open space, with the whole galaxy watching. Good. Nervous soldiers stay sharp. Hyun turned from the window. Do you know what the ancient Earth philosopher Sun Tzu said, Deho? All warfare is based on deception. For 200 years, we have been the galaxy's greatest deception. Let us see if it was worth it. 40 hours later, the human fleet arrived at Kaulos. 3,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect synchronization. The Krell defenders on the planet below watched in awe as Earth's military power finally revealed itself. The ships were beautiful and terrible. Sleek hulls covered in armor that seemed to absorb light. Weapon ports that hummed with barely contained energy. Point defense systems that moved with inhuman precision. Every vessel was a masterpiece of engineering, built in secret shipyards across hidden systems. Admiral Hyun stood on the bridge of the flagship Glory of Earth. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. No panic, no fear. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Swarm contact in 10 minutes, Mina reported from her station. All ships, battle formation Gamma 7, Hyun ordered. Deploy jammers on my mark. The fleet spread out across the system, each ship moving to its assigned position. To the alien observers watching from a distance, it looked like chaos. But, there was pattern in the movement, purpose in every maneuver. Then, the swarm arrived. The sky filled with red as billions of creatures poured into the system. They came like a wave, like a living storm, blotting out the stars. Hyun watched them come, his face calm. Mark, he said quietly. And, humanity's secret war began. The first wave of the Havoc swarm hit the human jamming field like a tsunami crashing into an invisible wall. The creatures shrieked across all frequencies, their biological signals suddenly cut off from the main cluster. Confusion rippled through their ranks. On the bridge of Glory of Earth, Admiral Hyun watched the tactical display with satisfaction. It is working. Weapons free. All ships engage. 3,000 human warships opened fire simultaneously. The darkness of space erupted in light. Particle beams lanced through swarm formations. Missiles tracked their targets with perfect accuracy. Point defense systems created walls of destruction that nothing could pass through alive. Lieutenant Mina monitored the swarm's response patterns. They are trying to adapt, sir. Changing communication frequencies. Expected, Hyun replied. Rotate jammer frequencies, pattern Delta 9. The human technology shifted instantly. Every ship in the fleet adjusted in perfect synchronization, maintaining the disruption field. The swarm creatures flailed in confusion, unable to coordinate their attacks. Aboard the observation ship where the galactic commanders waited, stunned silence reigned. Vren stood with his clawed hands pressed against the viewport, watching weapons fire that surpassed anything his species had developed. How is this possible? He whispered. Those energy outputs, our scientists said such levels would tear a ship apart. Commander Sarah's light pulsed rapidly, indicating extreme surprise. Look at their formation discipline. Every ship maintains exact positioning even while firing. The computational power required. They are not just winning, General Vok said slowly. They are dominating. The swarm cannot even reach them. On the surface of Kaulos, billions of Krell citizens watched the sky turn into a light show. Their planetary defense forces had prepared for desperate last stands, for heroic sacrifices. Instead, they witnessed systematic annihilation. The creatures that had haunted galactic nightmares for millennia were being cut down like grass. Captain Deho coordinated the carrier groups from his station aboard Glory of Earth. Fighter wings launching now. Bombers away. Thousands of small craft poured from the human carriers. They moved in swarms of their own, mimicking the enemy's tactics but, with deadly precision. Each fighter was controlled by a pilot whose reflexes had been enhanced through genetic modification and, neural implants, technologies Earth had developed in secret. The bomber wings dove into the thickest parts of the swarm. They carried weapons the galaxy had never seen. Antimatter warheads that annihilated everything in massive spheres. Gravity bombs that crushed creatures against themselves. Biological weapons designed specifically to target swarm physiology. Cluster 7 is breaking apart, Mina reported. Cluster 12 is attempting to retreat. Do not let them escape, Hyun ordered. Pursuit squadrons, engage. Fast attack ships broke from the main formation and chased down the fleeing creatures. Nothing escaped. The human fleet moved like a single organism, each element supporting the others, no wasted effort, no mercy. Lieutenant Salmon worked the communications console, monitoring reactions from across the galaxy. News of the battle was spreading fast. Every major civilization had observers at Kaulos, and what they witnessed was changing everything. Sir, we are receiving messages from the Council, Salmon said. They are asking if we need assistance. Several bridge officers smiled at that. The idea that Earth might need help after such a display was almost amusing. "Tell them we have the situation under control," Hyun replied. "But, thank them for their concern." 2 hours into the battle, the swarm's vanguard was shattered. Billions of creatures lay dead in space. The few that survived fled back toward their main force, carrying news of an enemy unlike any they had encountered. "Cease fire," Hyun ordered. "Begin recovery operations. I want samples, data, everything we can learn." The human fleet shifted from combat to collection mode just as smoothly as it had engaged. Science vessels moved forward, gathering swarm corpses and analyzing their biology. Every piece of information would be used to refine weapons and tactics for the next engagement. On the observation ship, the alien commander struggled to process what they had witnessed. "We have been fighting wars for 10,000 years, Vok said quietly. "We thought we knew the art of battle. But, this is something else entirely. It is not just their technology," Sarah observed. "It is how they use it. Every weapon, every ship, every tactic serves multiple purposes. There is no waste. No grandstanding. Just pure efficiency." Vren activated his communicator. "Admiral Hyun, this is Counselor Vren. We would like to meet with you. To discuss coordination for the main engagement." Hyun appeared on their display, his expression neutral. "Of course, Counselor. My staff will arrange a meeting. But, I suggest you watch the tactical recordings first. What you saw today was just the beginning." After the communication ended, Daeho approached the Admiral. "Sir, intelligence reports that the swarm's main force has stopped advancing. They are consolidating position. They are afraid," Hyun said with satisfaction. "Good. Fear makes them predictable. The council representatives are requesting access to our technology," Salmon reported. 12 species have submitted formal applications. "Deny them all, politely," Hyun replied. "Earth's technology remains Earth's secret. They can work with us, but they do not get to study our weapons." Mina looked up from her analysis. "Admiral, I am seeing something interesting in the swarm patterns. They are communicating differently now. More cautiously." "Show me." The tactical display revealed subtle changes in how the swarm clusters moved. They maintained greater distances, used more randomized patterns, acted more defensively. "They learn fast," Daeho observed. "So do we," Hyun replied. "Begin analysis. I want to know what they changed and why. We adapt faster than they do." In the following days, representatives from every major civilization arrived at Kaulos. They came to see the battlefield, to witness the evidence of Earth's power firsthand. The debris field alone was larger than most planets, a monument to human capability. Ambassador Gina met with each delegation personally. She answered their questions with patience, shared information when appropriate, and quietly refused requests that went too far. "Why did you wait so long?" a Suroth diplomat asked. "You could have revealed your strength at any time." "Because strength shown too early invites challenges," Gina replied. "Better to appear weak until the moment when strength is truly needed. Now, when we reveal our power, it serves a purpose. It unites the galaxy against a common threat rather than dividing us." The diplomat considered this. "You manipulated us." "We protected ourselves," Gina corrected gently. "Just as your species would do. Just as any intelligent civilization must do. The galaxy is not always kind to newcomers. We chose to be cautious." News of the victory at Kaulos spread across inhabited space. In homes and gathering places, on hundreds of worlds, citizens discussed what it meant. The humans, those quiet traders and miners, had been secretly building an empire's worth of military might. Some found it inspiring. Others found it terrifying. On Earth itself, celebrations erupted. For 2 centuries, humanity had lived a lie, pretending to be something less than they were. Now the truth was known. The home world could finally show pride in its defenders. President Yunji addressed the planet from the capital. She was Earth's first leader born after joining the galactic community, and she understood both human and alien perspectives. Today we revealed ourselves not as conquerors, but as protectors, she said. Our strength serves the galaxy, not dominates it. We build weapons to save lives, not take them. Let all civilizations know Earth stands ready to defend our shared home. Back at the war room, planning for the next phase began immediately. The swarm's vanguard was broken, but the main force remained. Trillions of creatures still advanced, though more slowly now. They will come prepared this time, Hyun told his assembled commanders, both human and alien. They will have adapted to our jammers. Developed counters to our weapons. This is their nature. Then, we must adapt as well, Vren said. The Krell warrior had gained new respect for human methods. Show us how you think, Admiral. Teach us your ways of war. Hyun smiled. War is not about strength alone, counselor. It is about understanding your enemy better than they understand themselves. The swarm has survived for millions of years because they learn and adapt. But, they have never faced an enemy who learns faster. He activated a new set of displays, showing battle plans that made even experienced alien commanders shake their heads in amazement. For the next engagement, Hyun continued, we will not use jammers at all. We will let them think they have overcome that weakness. Instead, we deploy weapons they cannot possibly expect. What weapons? Sarah asked. Everything we have been holding back, Daeho answered. The victory at Kaulos was impressive, yes. But, it used only 40% of our true capability. We still have surprises that will make today's battle look like a training exercise. The alien commanders exchanged glances. 40%. They had witnessed the most one-sided battle in recent history, and humanity had been holding back. The galaxy was beginning to understand that Earth's silence had never been weakness. It had been patience. And, now that patience had ended, nothing would ever be the same. The swarm's main force gathered at the edge of the Helix Nebula, a massive cloud of gas and dust that marked the boundary between the outer territories and civilized space. Trillions of creatures waited there, learning from the defeat at Kaulos, preparing for the next confrontation. Admiral Hyun studied the enemy positions from Glory of Earth. 3 weeks had passed since the first battle. 3 weeks of preparation, training, and integration. The human fleet had grown as ships arrived from hidden bases across 17 secret systems. More importantly, alien forces had learned to work alongside Earth's military. Status report, Hyun requested. Captain Daeho walked through the bridge, datapad in hand. All human battle groups are in position. The Krell Third Fleet has integrated with our left wing. Vex light cruisers are ready for support operations. Torgoth heavy battleships are holding the center with our dreadnoughts. And, morale? High across all species, Daeho replied. The aliens have seen what we can do. They trust us now. Lieutenant Mina interrupted from her station. Admiral, the swarm is moving. They are advancing in a new formation. Much more spread out than before. They learned from Kaulos, Hyun observed. Show me their pattern. The tactical display revealed the swarm's new approach. Instead of dense clusters, the creatures traveled in loose groups, maintaining distances that would make jamming less effective. They had adapted. Exactly as we predicted, Hyun said with satisfaction. They think they have solved our strategy. Good. Begin Operation Silent Thunder. Across the fleet, human ships began deploying devices the galaxy had never seen. Small drones, millions of them, spreading through space in a vast net. They did not jam signals or fire weapons. They simply waited. Counselor Vren watched from his command ship, now fighting alongside humanity instead of observing from safety. Admiral Hyun, what are those drones? Patience, Counselor, Hyun replied. Let the swarm commit fully to their attack. Then, you will see. The Havoc swarm advanced into the Helix Nebula. Sensors across the combined fleet tracked trillions of life signs moving through the cosmic dust. The creatures spread out, maintaining their loose formation, confident they had overcome human tactics. They are in the kill zone, Mina reported. All ships, hold position, Hyun ordered. Do not fire. Not yet. The swarm came closer. On alien ships throughout the fleet, commanders watched nervously. Everything in their training said to open fire, to engage the enemy before they reached close range. But, Hyun had been clear. Wait for the signal. When the swarm was completely surrounded by the drone net, Hyun gave the order. Activate. The millions of drones lit up simultaneously. But, they did not attack the swarm. Instead, they created something unprecedented. Energy fields linked from drone to drone, forming a massive barrier that encircled the entire swarm force. A prison of pure force, trapping trillions of creatures in a space only hundreds of kilometers wide. Containment field stable, Daeho reported. The swarm is completely enclosed. The creatures went berserk. They slammed against the energy barriers, trying to break through. But, human engineers had built the field to withstand pressures that would crush planets. The swarm was trapped. Now, Hyun said calmly, we show them what true warfare means. Release the nanite swarms. From ships throughout the fleet, clouds of microscopic machines deployed. They passed through the energy barrier as if it did not exist, programmed to allow human technology while blocking biological matter. The nanites swarmed over the trapped creatures, each machine no larger than a cell, working together in numbers that rivaled the swarm itself. The nanites did not kill. They modified. Each one attached to a swarm creature and began rewriting its biological programming at the molecular level. Within minutes, creatures that had been part of a unified force began turning on each other. The nanites made them see their fellow swarm members as enemies, as food, as threats. Biological warfare, Commander Sarah whispered, watching from her ship. They turned the swarm's own nature against them. Inside the containment field, chaos erupted. Trillions of creatures fought each other with the same ferocity they would have brought against the fleet. The swarm consumed itself, unable to distinguish friend from foe. Lieutenant Salmon monitored communications from across the galaxy. News of the battle was being broadcast in real time. Every civilization watched as humanity demonstrated not just superior weapons, but superior thinking. Sir, we are receiving thousands of messages, Salmon reported. Questions, requests, some expressions of fear. Expected, Hyun replied. What is the Council's official response? Counselor Vren is broadcasting now. On displays across the fleet, Vren's image appeared. The massive Krell warrior looked different now. There was respect in his posture, even humility. People of the galaxy, Vren began. Today you witness the future of warfare. Earth has shown us that strength is not about size or numbers. It is about intelligence, creativity, and the willingness to think beyond old limits. We owe them a debt we can never fully repay. On Glory of Earth's bridge, several officers smiled at that. Recognition from the Krell, who had considered themselves the galaxy's greatest warriors, meant something. How long will the containment field hold? Daeho asked. 48 hours at current power levels, Mina answered. By then, the swarm will have reduced its own numbers by 90% or more. And, the survivors? Will be weakened, disorganized, and traumatized, Hyun replied. Easy targets for conventional weapons. We will eliminate them methodically. Captain Boyoung commanded one of the human dreadnoughts positioned at the containment field's edge. He was an older officer, a veteran of the secret fleet who had waited his entire career for this moment. Around him, his crew worked with quiet pride, knowing they were part of something historic. "Captain, the aliens are requesting permission to assist with the cleanup," his communications officer reported. "Granted," Boyoung replied. "Let them fight beside us. They need to feel part of this victory." Over the next 2 days, the combined fleet eliminated the surviving swarm creatures. The aliens fought well, using the tactics they had learned from human advisors. Krell warriors charged alongside human marines. Vex energy weapons fired in coordination with Earth's particle beams. Torgoth heavy weapons provided covering fire for human fighters. It was not just a military victory. It was the birth of true cooperation between species. When the last swarm creature died, a strange silence settled over the fleet. Sensors showed no more enemy contacts. The Havoc swarm, the terror that had threatened the galaxy for millions of years, was finally defeated. Admiral Hyun stood and addressed his crew. "Well done. All of you. We have accomplished something remarkable today. But, remember, this is not the end. This is the beginning of Earth's true role in the galaxy." Ambassador Gina arrived at the fleet's position a day later, bringing with her delegates from every major civilization. A peace conference was hastily arranged aboard a neutral station. In the conference chamber, representatives gathered with very different attitudes than they had held weeks ago. Where once they had been dismissive of humanity, now they showed cautious respect, even fear. Gina stood before them, her expression calm but firm. "Earth wants no empire. We seek no dominion over other species. What we want is simple, to be treated as equals. To have a voice in galactic decisions. To be respected for what we are, not dismissed for what we appear to be." "You will have it," Vren said immediately. "The Council grants Earth full voting status, with veto power equal to the founding species." Murmurs of agreement filled the chamber. No one objected. How could they? Earth had saved the galaxy. "We also request access to human technology," a Vex representative said carefully. "Not weapons, we understand those must remain yours. But, medical advances, energy systems, technologies that could improve lives across the galaxy." Gina considered this. "We will share some technologies, on our terms. Earth will not simply hand over everything we have developed. We will trade fairly, work cooperatively, but, we retain control of our most sensitive advancements." "That is reasonable," Sarah acknowledged. "More than reasonable, given the circumstances." Lieutenant Jae-min, one of Gina's aides, presented a document. "Earth proposes a new galactic charter. One that ensures no species is dismissed because they seem weak. One that encourages cooperation over dominance. We have drafted specific provisions based on lessons learned from our own experience." The charter was revolutionary. It limited the power of the largest civilizations while protecting the rights of smaller species. It created frameworks for technology sharing, mutual defense, and peaceful resolution of conflicts. It was, essentially, a new foundation for galactic civilization. "This will change everything," Bach said, reading through the provisions. "The old hierarchies, the traditional power structures, all of it becomes irrelevant." "Yes," Gina agreed. "Just as Earth's revelation changed everything. The galaxy must adapt, just as the swarm tried to adapt. The difference is, we will guide this adaptation toward peace instead of conflict." Debate continued for days. Some provisions were modified, others strengthened. But, the core principles remained. By the time the conference ended, a new era had begun. Back on Earth, President Yunji addressed a planet that could finally celebrate openly. Our ancestors hid our strength because they had no choice. They lived in a galaxy that did not respect the weak. Today, we have proven our worth. Tomorrow, we help build a galaxy that values all species equally. Admiral Hyun retired from active duty shortly after the battle, his life's work complete. But, before he left glory of Earth for the last time, he gathered his senior officers. We won this war, he told them. But, the real test comes now. Can we keep the peace? Can we use our power wisely? The weapons we built in secret, they are not going away. The question is whether we control them, or they control us. Captain Daeho, who would assume command of the fleet, nodded seriously. We will remember your lessons, Admiral. Strength used wisely is more powerful than strength used constantly. As Hyun departed, he looked back at the massive warship one final time. It represented everything humanity had hidden, everything they had sacrificed to prepare for this moment. But, it also represented hope. Hope that strength could serve peace. That power could protect rather than dominate. The galaxy would never be the same. Earth had revealed its true military power, and, in doing so, had changed the destiny of countless civilizations. 5 years after the defeat of the Havoc Swarm, the galaxy looked very different. The new charter had taken effect, reshaping relationships between species. Trade flourished. Technology advanced. Wars became rare as diplomatic solutions replaced military confrontations. Captain Daeho, now an admiral himself, walked through the halls of Unity Station, the massive structure built to house the new galactic government. Representatives from hundreds of species worked side by side here, something that would have been impossible before Earth's revelation. He was meeting someone important today. Someone from his past. In a quiet observation lounge, Daeho found former Admiral Hyun watching ships come and go from the station. The older man had aged in retirement, his hair now completely gray, but his eyes remained sharp. Admiral, Daeho greeted him. Thank you for coming. I am not an admiral anymore, Hyun replied with a slight smile. Just a civilian. And you outrank me now regardless. How goes the fleet? Strong. Capable. Ready for threats that we hope will never come. Daeho joined him at the window. But, I wanted your advice on something else. The other species are getting nervous. About what? About us. About Earth's continued military expansion. We have more ships now than we did during the Swarm War. More weapons. More bases. Some delegates are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Hyun nodded slowly. I expected this. What do they say? They say Earth defeated the Swarm too easily. That we must have even more hidden capabilities. That maybe humanity is the threat now, not the protector. Daeho looked troubled. Are they wrong? What do you think? I think, Daeho said carefully, that we prepared for the Swarm for 200 years. It makes sense we would prepare for other threats too. But, I also think the other species have a right to feel secure. Good answer. Hyun turned from the window. The truth is, Earth does have more capabilities we have not revealed. Not weapons, necessarily, but technologies. Defenses. Preparations for scenarios that hopefully will never occur. Should we tell them? Some things, yes. Others, no. The key is finding the balance between transparency and security. Hyun gestured to the station beyond the window. This new galaxy we helped create, it is built on trust. But, trust does not mean foolishness. We can be honest about our strength while maintaining necessary secrets. Their conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Sunhee, one of Daeho's aides. Sir, we have a situation. Unknown vessels have appeared at the edge of the Orion sector. They do not match any known configuration. Both men moved quickly to a command console. The display showed 3 ships of unusual design, organic-looking, almost alive. "Hail them," Deho ordered. After a moment, a response came. The being that appeared on screen was unlike anything in galactic records. 6 limbs, crystalline skin, eyes that seemed to see in dimensions humans could not perceive. "I am Navigator Kess of the Veiled Collective," the being said through automatic translation. "We have traveled from beyond the galactic rim. We seek the ones who defeated the harvest cycle." "Harvest cycle?" Deho asked. "What you call the Havoc Swarm?" "They were our creation, sent to consume civilizations that grew too aggressive, too dangerous. For millions of years, we controlled them. Then, they disappeared into your space. We came to investigate. To see what force could overcome our greatest weapon." Silence filled the command center. The Havoc Swarm had been created intentionally. By an even more powerful civilization. Hyun spoke calmly. "And, now that you have found us, what are your intentions?" Kess made a gesture that might have been respect. "To observe. To learn. Your species interests us. You hid your strength, revealed it only when necessary, and used it to protect rather than conquer. This is unexpected behavior. Earth makes its own choices," Deho said firmly. "We will not be tested or judged by external forces." "We do not seek to test you," Kess replied. "We seek to understand you. The Veiled Collective has watched the galaxy for eons. We have seen thousands of civilizations rise and fall. Most species follow predictable patterns. Humanity does not. You adapt, you change, you think in ways we cannot easily anticipate. This makes you dangerous. But, it also makes you valuable." Ambassador Gina arrived at the command center, summoned by the alert. She took in the situation quickly. "The Veiled Collective. We theorized you might exist. Ancient species that shaped the galaxy from the shadows. You knew about them?" Deho asked. "We suspected," Gina corrected. "Certain patterns in galactic history did not make sense unless someone was guiding events. We just did not know who or why." Kess showed what might have been surprise. "You are perceptive." "Yes, we have guided galactic development for longer than your species has existed. We prevent civilizations from destroying themselves. We cull those that become too dangerous. We maintain balance. By sending planet-eating swarms to destroy them." Hyun's voice was cold. "How many civilizations have you murdered?" "Fewer than would have died in the wars they would have started," Kess responded. "But, we admit our methods are harsh. Watching your species has made us reconsider our approach." "Explain," Gina demanded. The crystalline being shifted, its form rippling. "When we sent the harvest cycle to test this region of space, we expected the dominant species to sacrifice the weaker ones. To save themselves at others' expense. Instead, we found humanity. A young species that prepared in secret, revealed its strength to protect allies, and used its power to create cooperation instead of dominance. This is new. This suggests alternative approaches to our eternal problem." "What problem?" Deho asked. "How to guide civilizations toward maturity without controlling them directly. How to prevent galactic wars without becoming tyrants ourselves. You have shown us something we did not expect, that deception can serve noble purposes. That hidden strength can become revealed protection. That power does not inevitably corrupt." Gina exchanged glances with Hyun and Deho. This was beyond anything they had prepared for. "What do you want from Earth?" Gina asked. "Partnership," Kess said simply. "The Veiled Collective is ancient but small. We lack the numbers to directly manage the galaxy. We need younger species to help guide development. Species that understand both strength and restraint. Humanity has demonstrated both. You want us to become galactic police, Deho said. We want you to become galactic teachers. Show other species what you showed us. That there are ways to maintain peace beyond simple force or hiding behind others. The galaxy needs examples of wise strength. Earth can provide that example. Hyun laughed quietly. You realize the irony? We hid our military power for 200 years specifically to avoid the kind of responsibility you are describing. Yes, Kes acknowledged. But, hiding failed. You were forced to reveal yourselves. Now the question is what you do with that revelation. Do you retreat back into isolation? Do you dominate through fear? Or do you lead through wisdom? The conversation continued for hours. The veiled collective shared knowledge they had gathered over millions of years. They explained the cycles they had observed, the patterns that repeated across civilizations, the threats that lurked in the darkness between galaxies. It was overwhelming and humbling. Finally, Gina asked the critical question. If we refuse this partnership, what happens? Nothing, Kes replied. We do not force cooperation. If humanity wishes to remain isolated, we will respect that choice. But, know that we have identified 17 potential threats to galactic stability. Without guidance, at least 3 will develop into species-ending conflicts within the next 1,000 years. With guidance, those conflicts could be prevented. After the veiled collective ships departed, promising to return in 1 year for Earth's answer, the leadership gathered to discuss the offer. President Myri, who had succeeded Yunji, listened to the reports with a troubled expression. We spent 2 centuries hiding from responsibility. Now we are asked to embrace it fully. What should we do? We should be honest about our capabilities, Gina suggested. The galaxy already fears our hidden strength. Let us show them what we truly have, within reason. Build trust through transparency. But, maintain some secrets, Hyun added. The veiled collective revealed themselves because we surprised them. If we become completely predictable, we lose that advantage. Deho offered another perspective. We should train other species. Share our tactical knowledge, our strategic thinking. Not our weapons, but our methods. Raise the galaxy's overall capability instead of dominating through superior force. Lieutenant Mina, now a commander herself, spoke up. The swarm was defeated, but we discovered remnant clusters in deep space. Small groups, dormant but alive. We could use them as training tools. Show other species how to fight truly dangerous enemies. The debate continued for weeks. Messages flew between Earth and the colonies, between military leaders and civilian advisors, between those who wanted isolation and those who wanted engagement. In the end, Earth made its choice. 1 year later, when the veiled collective returned, Ambassador Gina delivered humanity's answer. Earth accepts your partnership, with conditions. We will help guide the galaxy's development, but we will not become enforcers of your will. We share knowledge on our terms. We intervene when necessary but not at your command. We remain independent even as we cooperate. Kes showed approval. Acceptable. The best partners are those who challenge our thinking, not those who blindly obey. The new era began quietly. Earth did not announce its agreement with the veiled collective. Instead, humanity simply began helping. Human advisors joined alien military academies. Technology exchange programs expanded. Joint research initiatives tackled problems that affected multiple species. And, slowly, carefully, Earth revealed more of its true capabilities. Not weapons, but knowledge. Not threats, but solutions. The galaxy learned that humanity's military power was only part of the story. The real power was in how humans thought, how they adapted, how they turned weaknesses into strengths and strengths into tools for peace. 10 years after the swarm's defeat, Captain Boyang retired from military service. He returned to Earth and took up teaching at the Planetary Defense Academy. His students came from dozens of species, all eager to learn from the humans who had changed everything. On his first day of class, a young Krell student raised a claw. "Professor, is it true that Earth still has secret weapons? Technologies you have not revealed?" Boyoung smiled. "Yes. Every wise civilization maintains some secrets. But, here is what I will tell you, our greatest strength was never our weapons. It was our patience. Our willingness to wait, to learn, to prepare thoroughly before acting. That is what you should take from Earth's example. Not our guns or ships, but our discipline." The student considered this. So Earth's true power was restraint? Earth's true power, Boyoung replied, was knowing when to reveal what we had hidden. Timing is everything in war and, in peace. We showed our strength at exactly the right moment to save the galaxy instead of conquering it. That is the lesson. Across the galaxy, on hundreds of worlds, similar lessons were being taught. The age of simple military dominance was ending. A more sophisticated era was beginning, one where wisdom mattered as much as weapons. And, through it all, humanity remained watchful. The hidden fleets still existed. The secret technologies still developed. Earth had learned that revealing power did not mean revealing everything. The galaxy had gone silent when humanity showed its true military strength. But, in that silence, something better had grown: respect, cooperation, and hope for a future where strength served life instead of ending it. Admiral Daeho, now in his final years of service, stood one last time on the bridge of glory of Earth. The ship was being decommissioned, turned into a museum, a reminder of when everything changed. "Sir," his aide asked, "do you think we did the right thing? Revealing ourselves when we did?" Daeho looked at the stars, at the peaceful galaxy humanity had helped create. "Yes. We had no choice, really. The swarm forced our hand. But, we made the best of it. We showed the galaxy that humans could be trusted with power. And, that," he smiled, "was the greatest victory of all." The story of how humanity revealed its true military power became legend. It was told on countless worlds, adapted into different forms, learned by new generations. But, the core truth remained, that the greatest strength lies not in weapons, but in the wisdom to use them well. And, Earth, the species that had hidden its light under a bushel for 2 centuries, had finally proven that patience, preparation, and principle could triumph over simple force. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity stopped pretending to be weak. More importantly, it would never forget what humanity did with the strength it revealed.